Hello and welcome to the Forbes India pre-budget roundtable. I am Himani Kothari. In a few days from now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union budget. But before we get into that, let's set some context. The world is facing an unprecedented level of uncertainty today. But despite that, India's growth remains on track. The first advanced estimates for FY26 point to a robust 7.4% growth in real GDP. That's up from 6.5% last year. That will also make India the fastest growing major economy. That's a tag it has enjoyed for some years now. If we talk about inflation, that remains well within the RBI's target range of 2 to 6%. If we look at consumption, private consumer spending grew 7.9% in Q2. Coming to CAPEX, government capital expenditure utilization rose to 51.8% in the first half of the fiscal year. Now for the not so good parts. Indian exports to the US continue to face 50% tariffs. After a strong first quarter, growth in exports moderated in Q2 to 1.9%. Now, the government has responded. It overhauled the GST, it cut rates, it rationalized the slabs. The 4 new labor codes that had been pending for some while were finally enforced. But tariff uncertainty remains the biggest concern. When the FM presents the budget, tariffs might weigh on her. To figure out what else might be on her mind and where's the elbow room, we have with us partners from Deloitte. We have Sumit Thimkar, Saloni Roy, and Anujesh Dwivedi. From Forbes, we have Suveen Sinha, who's the editor.
Hi.
Payal Ganguly, Samreen Mani, and Vasudha Mukherjee. I'll come to you, Saloni, first. The government has done everything it could, at least in terms of GST. How do you see that? It coincided with the festive season starting. So we saw a lot of consumption, at least in auto. Like the demand came back with a vengeance. How do you see that?
I think the big change that we see is that the government is actually listening. And the fact is, with the GST Council meeting every few months, they are making changes. So they are listening, they are addressing it. So concerns are being addressed, and the 56 GST Council meeting, they announced, actually it came from the Prime Minister's statement that he's going to announce something for Diwali, but pre-Diwali, pre-Dussehra, we had, bonanza. So yes, the government is taking a gamble. They have reduced rates, rationalized rates, and the collections haven't dipped really. The net GST collections continue to grow. So the government is really banking on consumption.
Right. But has it done the way the government expected it to do, consumption?
I think it is in the process of doing. So it hasn't seen so gross collections did take a bit of a beating, but if you look at net after refunds, they've been steady and growing. So and I think the domestic consumption is something that India luckily has and can bank upon, and we can see this growing.
Oh, where else do you see the elbow room now? We've been talking about customs duty.
Yes. So for the budget, essentially, the major change now will be from a customs perspective. Our finance minister a few months back also mentioned that customs is going to see an overhaul. If we see our entire tax regime in India, we've had, indirect tax has gone through an entire change with, when GST was introduced in 2017, they consolidated service tax, excise, it was combined, and we got more or less a national regime. Earlier, each state had their own VAT laws. Now it is kind of uniform, mostly uniform. Changes are done at a central level. So it would be better if we have just a single GST, but I think that will take time for us to move to there. But customs is a particular area where there is potential to do more, and the government is in the process of overhauling. We've seen a new income tax legislation as well. So customs is definitely the area where the government needs to do more. So yes, I do see there are many rates. Last year they brought down from 15 slabs to 8 slabs. So I'm hoping that they would reduce this further. But yes, if you look around, there are FTAs being discussed. Tariffs is really what is being spoken of these days.
Suveen?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Saloni, and once again a very warm welcome to our friends from Deloitte. Thanks so much for coming to our studios. You know, of course, this is a budget, so we talk about taxation and growth and investment, etc. But may I also suggest that this budget is coming at a time which is unlike any of the previous budgets. In the last 12 months, the world has changed completely, right? When we talk about the international scenario, but the domestic scenario as well. So when we talk about the usual budget tenets of growth, innovation, investment and taxation and tariffs, etc., are we going to look at it differently this time? Differently meaning that do we need to consciously look more at new age scenario, new age investments? As we were discussing before this panel discussion started, there is a great capitalist wave rising around the world in terms of AI linked investments. You know, people are talking about billions as if they were pennies here, and there is this circular thing going on and so forth. India as of now is more of an AI consumer economy. Now, what can the budget do to help the country shift from AI consumer to AI generator? And of course, I'm without any inhibition, I'm hunting for a headline also here. Do we expect this to be India's first ever AI budget? And what can we really do in terms of making the policy environment more conducive, be it with advanced pricing regime or any of the related things? So what is your view on that?
So if you to the first part of what you said,
yes,
there is an external pressure,
yes,
given the economic situation that exists in the world today. The good part is that the Indian domestic demand and the focus that the government is putting on local is keeping the economy at a very steady and a stable level, I feel. This has helped the economy to have very balanced figures of growth on GDP. The foreign exchange reserves have been reasonable. Inflation has been stable as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel the macroeconomic parameters that the economy is currently reflecting are not showing any signs of a significant concern that must be addressed at a local level.
okay,
Certainly, with the tremors that are caused because of some international developments,
mm-hmm,
there is need to continue to build the economy, which the government, I think, is doing a fair bit on,
mm-hmm,
and trying to keep the domestic part of things very active, which is leading to a very stable regime at this point in time. Should the budget be a harbinger of something on AI? Well, it's difficult to tell whether we will see an AI type of a budget, but over the years the government has done some bits to, let's say, advance tax incentives to startups, because AI is a niche
Yes.
sector in that sense. It's not a classified infrastructure sector, even data centers for that matter are not. Maybe giving it that kind of a status could help it garner a lot of economic support from banks for funding, etc., for it to happen more seamlessly. But I feel the government has done some bits to promote startups on the AI side.
Yes.
You have a 3-year tax holiday.
Yes.
The government hopefully is going to extend that holiday, although they did extend something, the end date of that exemption in the last budget. We are hoping that there is a little bit more, a few more sectors relating to the, to AI and allied sectors to come in as part of that incentive regime. I feel the time is ripe to help incubate these new age businesses, new age sectors through a policy push. Hopefully the government will listen to that.
I think on the energy side as well,
Yes.
AIs are going to be a major consumer of electricity.
yes,
So if a policy intervention is introduced to exempt potential large data centers
Yes.
from cross subsidy surcharge, they will be able to source cheaper power of
Yes.
electricity and be more competitive, and India could emerge as a major destination for such data centers.
Yes, because data center is the big thing happening right now, isn't it? Alongside GCCs.
It is one of the major growth areas for sure.
Yes. But aside from that, if you look at the power sector, uh, what should really be the agenda at this time? You know, we have had the push to solar for quite some years now, but it has so far not led to any substantial reduction in thermal, right, as of today. And one gets the sense that with regard to environment related initiatives, more of the focus is now on electric vehicles. So two things. One is do we need to give fresh impetus to renewable energy in some way beyond EVs? And secondly, for EVs itself, because there is the issue of localizing EV related investments and manufacturing with regard to batteries, storage, etc. What should be the way ahead?
So on renewable energy, the government has done a lot in the last
Yes, quite a lot.
5 or 10 years,
Yes.
we can say. And it started with incentives for large projects. Then we moved to localization of the solar manufacturing value chain.
Yes.
All of that has started to show results. In FY25, we have added close to 50 gigawatts, not FY25, calendar year 25, we have added close to 50 gigawatts of solar power. And you will see that, because we have a substantial domestic, manufacturing capacity for modules and the underlying components, this 50 gigawatts can be scaled further, and it will be scaled further.
Okay.
So in the times to come, the energy component in the grid that comes from renewable energy will rise sharply, and the reducing plant load factor of thermal plants is already showing that.
Yes.
So while we need thermal or schedulable generation resources to be able to meet the peak demand, if you look at in terms of number of units generated in the overall energy basket, renewables is growing,
Yes.
and it will grow very sharply. We can expect further momentum or impetus to distributed renewable energy resources through maybe increased allocations in the PM Muft, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana as well as
Yes.
PM Kusum. Also, there is some bit of localization or local manufacturing to be established for high voltage, or HVDC. Transmission equipment where we lack domestic manufacturing facility, which is also crucial for evacuation of renewable energy. On the EV side and battery side, obviously there is a dependence on critical minerals there.
Yes.
And government has started focusing on that, but more needs to be done and more will be done on accelerating domestic discovery of deposits, and also harnessing those, then refining those or extracting the materials which can be used locally. Then there has been focus on acquiring or securing critical minerals from other countries.
Also joining us online are Anthony Prashant, S. Anjani Kumar, and Anurag Gupta.
Thank you for
Hi.
joining us, and very warm welcome.
Mr. Kumar, we were just discussing investments and how there's now a need to invest in newer areas. Could you come into that from AI perspective?
Yeah, so I think the way to frame AI investments is what we call inside the walls and outside the walls. So if you think about it from an inside the walls perspective, it is everything that goes within getting AI done. So at the bottom is the silicon. So, the GPUs which run the entire AI workloads. On top of that is the entire cloud environment that you create. And as you go up the stack, there's this entire element of LLMs, which again are needed, sovereign LLMs are needed. As you go up the stack, then there are AI products and services. And outside the walls is all the infrastructure needed to make sure that the entire AI ecosystem works, which is largely power and water. So that's the fundamental way we frame how we need to think about the AI framework and AI ecosystem. And if you look at the way the India AI mission has been structured, it's largely inside the walls. So fundamentally, we are seeing significant amount of investments. All the announcements that are being made largely include both inside the walls and outside the walls, because organizations, having learned from advanced countries like US, which have the highest capacity in terms of gigawatts of data centers, are realizing that solving for power and water issues are as critical as it is for solving for GPU issues. I think we do need a lot more LLMs. And again, when we say LLMs, we don't have to compete in making these trillion-dollar models. I think India needs to make more bespoke small language models, local language models, which are bespoke for specific requirements. So think about agriculture, think about education, think about skilling, think about healthcare. And then, of course, the other pillars which are extremely critical is on skilling. How do we make sure that everybody in India is AI skilled? They are able to, use AI, write the right prompts. I think lastly, what I would want to say is, we had a similar situation in the late 90s when, with the IT services and the BPO boom, India was able to capitalize on that. And, we became a fairly strong nation as far as IT services was concerned. And you see a lot of growth. It's a 200 billion plus industry today. But at that point of time, one bus that we missed was IT products.
Yes.
I think today we are in a similar cusp where there will be AI services and there will also be AI products. So think about Alexa, think about ChatGPT, think about Gemini. They are examples of AI products where you're charging customers, corporates, individuals on a subscription basis for a product.
So speaking about AI infrastructure, a very important component of AI infrastructure are semiconductor chips, right? And so we had the design-linked incentive scheme for semiconductors in that industry. Last year during Semicon, we also unveiled Vikram, our first chip. Do we know anything about how the scheme is progressing, the design-linked incentive scheme is progressing, and whether we also have fabrication plants coming up in Gujarat? So do we know whether it's the design, whether it's fabrication, where is incentive needed right now? Where should the push be coming from? And should the government be intervening to encourage private players in that sector?
So I think, again, we need to see, semiconductors is a very broad term. You need to start thinking about how do you segment that entire value chain. So today, if you look at the GPUs, that get powered in the most sophisticated of servers and data centers, they are 3-4 nanometer GPUs. Right? That's at which level GPUs are, semiconductors are being made. However, you don't need only that level of GPUs. For example, if you have something in a washing machine, in a TV, there you can do 15, 20, 30 nanometers. So I think from an India perspective, while eventually the aim is for us to be a world beater and get to, the minimum requirement and get to the GPUs with power data centers. But I think we are progressing well as far as fabricating and design of semiconductors, which are higher magnitude, so 20, 25 nanometers or in that range. So and getting to that 3-4 nanometer, and of course I'm sure as we progress this number will even go down, will take time. The second part of your question, I think we need to invest everywhere. I don't think we have a choice whether we should invest in design only and leave the fabrication to other countries.
Payal?
This question is directed towards Anthony. One key question here is, what would be the impact for India's pharma manufacturers, especially those who count US and a couple of other geographies as the major markets, and what impact the tariffs are going to have? Do we think that the current budget announcement will have some kind of relaxation, especially when it comes to the generics, also the GLP-1 subset of drugs, which are probably going to be, important from March onwards?
if while we are a largely export-driven segment, the export that we do is predominantly generics, which is and while we say we are the largest exporter to the US, while we may be from a volume perspective, but from a value perspective, it is not much. We may be 14% or 15% as a value perspective. Now, what if we have to reach this 130 billion or 450 billion? Then we need to look at how do we bring in more R&D in the biosimilar space or biologic space rather than the generic space. So, which means a lot of investment in R&D, right? And when we say a lot of investment in R&D, our ability to create biosimilars. Second, our ability to launch products in a much faster manner. Now, like what you mentioned, there is a big one. There is the upcoming for a very particular, very large market, which is going to happen in March, April. Second, there are also a lot of patents that are, which are going, a lot of drugs which are going off patent in the next 2 to 4 years as well, and that also creates a large market for us. So we have to boost our R&D, which means our ability to also launch products in a much faster manner. Now, this brings us to another question: is when we launch, if we have the ability to, let's say we address the problem of R&D, our new products, launching new products is also much faster. But then we need to produce as well. It is not easy to set up a pharma plant, whether it's API or generics, because especially if you're serving the global markets, especially the regulated markets, because you need the approvals, you need to get your FDA approvals, you need to get the whether it's a UK MHRA approvals. It takes around 18 to 24 months. In some cases, sometimes it's earlier also. Now, setting up a plant takes 2 years, and after that, validating the plant for another 2 years becomes a 4-year journey. So, how do we expedite it? Which is where today a lot of these pharma companies need to adopt digital as a key enabler for their growth. And when I say digital, it needs to be embedding a lot of AI, because how can you get more with your existing assets? Today, if you look at a pharma plant, 30 to 40%, a good plant would be running at around 65 to maybe 70% capacity utilization, because there are a lot of unknowns. There could be batch deviations, there could be batch failures. Now, today, the use of AI can help us predict some of these and reduce, which means it can enhance the asset efficiencies of many plants. Therefore, you're able to produce more with your existing assets in order to enable the growth. Now, given this story, and tariffs also, while there could be an impact, when we did some impact analysis, we're not seeing a major impact coming from a formulations perspective. And it is also another perspective is will the US start sourcing from other countries? It is again we're not sure, because again, like I said, setting up a plant and getting it validated will take you 4-5 years, right? And there are already set capacities across the world. There are ecosystems which are set across the world. So it's very unlikely that significant part of sourcing would move out of India. This year, the budget should be talking about more is looking at trying to move from volume to value, therefore boost R&D, and also talk more about export-linked incentives. Today we have production-linked incentives. If we are able to address the global market to drive this growth, can you look at an export-linked incentives as well?
Okay, if I might step in here for just a bit. So what I'm going to say might sound a little unkind, so I'm going to word it very carefully. So, but what do we have here? In pharma, we are a great producer of generics, but not, we don't invent new molecules. Earlier we heard that in this great boom of IT, we did great with services, but no products. We were talking about EVs earlier, we are importing all the batteries. In AI, we are importing a lot of the semiconductors, right? If you look at the social media or digital media scenario, we are great consumers. We are WhatsApp's largest user base, but we did not create WhatsApp, and so forth. Now, this is what I am saying here is not up to the budget, but as a nation, as an economy, as a civilization, is there something we can do to make the shift, to be the other guys, those who create those things, which then get adopted by the rest of the world? Is that possible?
So I definitely think it's possible. I definitely think India has the potential. It has the talent. We've been losing talent. If we have the talent in India and we make it attractive for the talent to stay in India, then maybe we can see, creations happening here as well.
One of the things
Yes.
on this,
Yes, Sumit.
which links back to what Saloni said about talent, is some sort of a certainty around policy, regulatory measures that the government puts into effect, and the uncertainty that sometimes gets created for taxpayers.
Yes.
We've seen, of course, exodus, brain drain, as you may call it.
Yes.
Over the years, your top tech professionals or students, engineers go out and work with the big companies outside of India. We've also seen entrepreneurs sometimes leave the country, and there have been news about this.
Yes.
Getting worked up because of the regulatory regime that exists in the country, and they find it probably a little difficult to work within the system in how things could be developed for a large business or a large product or something that is catchy at a global level. I think there is, if the government works on bringing that certainty for, let's say, investors, entrepreneurs, individuals who are, these technical folks who are developing some of the great things that we see internationally. Once there is certainty and stability that we can develop as a system around them, I think that will augur well to let them do this at an India level.
Yes.
And not necessarily go out and support a system which is maybe doing this at a bigger level, because there is more conducive investment, atmosphere, climate in those jurisdictions.
You are making a very important point, Sumit. Just 1 second, is that which is the certainty versus uncertainty. And I think the best thing any government or any policy environment can do is make it possible that outcomes can be predictable, like where the enterprises and the entrepreneurs and the investors know that if I do X, I'm very likely to get A plus B as my outcome, which can be foreseen. Is it possible to be a little more specific in how to create that certainty?
Well, I mean, look, at every level, there needs to be a drive to provide certainty, whether it is at a policy level, at an implementation level, at the administration level. I feel so. To take some examples, we, at least when we look at taxes,
Yes.
there are amendments that come through every year.
Yes.
And of course, we all wait with bated breath on what those amendments are going to be for the year. But if the policy is clear around how we want to drive collection on taxes, whether it is income tax, wealth tax, indirect taxes, the path should not change too much as you keep going along.
Yes.
When there is an issue that comes up, if that issue is addressed in a timely way, I mean, there are going to be issues. You are interpreting a law, and interpretations can run either ways or many, multi ways. If there is a clarification that is proactively coming from the government, it helps the businesses to know that there is a certain point of view that the government is taking on an issue, and therefore they plan themselves accordingly.
So the last budget made headlines for income tax changes, personal income tax changes, right? What is your sense? What will this budget, what might this budget be known for?
I would think that we can expect changes in customs,
Okay.
at least announcements,
Yes.
and at least thinking broad policy outline I do believe that there could be some announcements around that.
Okay.
I think the government did a big piece on introducing the new income tax law, so I'm not expecting that there'll be any big ticket significant changes to
Yes.
make, but I think the government will keep focusing on trying to make this new piece of legislation a more improved and a better version of the last year's of the previous law.
Okay.
And there is more that can be done in simplifying the 2025 law as well.
Okay.
There are some aspects that can be addressed, such as the withholding tax related provisions, which kind of put a lot of onus on the person who's actually paying the income to another person.
Okay.
So some simplifications around that are possible. I feel providing more tax certainty through reduction in tax litigations is an important area. I
Yes.
feel that should get addressed. There is an expectation that India will come out with its own Pillar 2 legislation, maybe in this year's budget or maybe in the next year's budget. That we'll have to wait and watch.
Yeah. My sense is, there is going to be increased focus on becoming even more Atmanirbhar, and to becoming an even more attractive destination for global investments. We already saw reforms on the labor side, and if bolder reforms could be introduced on the energy or the power sector side, that would make India an attractive destination for manufacturers.
Okay.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Imani.
Thank you.